Welcome Home Radio Podcast. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Our team is here with answers to guide you through the buying and selling process. We encourage you to ask questions. Please comment on this show or visit us at welcomehomeradio.net for more information. Bringing real estate, lending, and education together in one place, and to help you make the right home decision for you and your family.
And welcome to Welcome Home Radio. This is April 10th, and we are so excited today to have with us somebody that has been in the industry and has some great knowledge with us. Not you, Tom. I know you thought that was you, but not you. Please welcome Jim Fight of Judge Fight Century 21 Corporation and Company. Jim, thank you so much for being here. You are the President and Chief Executive Officer, so I'm sure you have a wealth of knowledge of where you're going. How long have you been in the industry, sir?
So I started my career 52 years ago.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yes, I was 18, so you can do the math. I'm 45 now.
Well, what excites you about the industry? What keeps you going so long? I mean, you evidently love this industry. You love what you do. And also you love probably your father's legacy. Is that not true?
Well, I love my father's and mother's legacy for sure, but truly it was a purpose. And at 16 years old, I wrote a paper in high school, and the first line was, "Under all is the land." And land is something that they're not making any more of. It is what it is. And so it went on to talk about the value of land is only affected by people. If you don't have people wanting that property, being land, homes, commercial, whatever, then it has no value. Real estate has no value without people. So at the end of the day, we're in the people business. If we take people, we develop relationships with people, build those relationships over a career, over a lifetime. It's a very worthwhile career to be in, and serves an amazing purpose when you can serve people in probably their largest investment they'll ever make.
Very true. I find it more and more interesting how I feel when, again, probably the largest purchase decision these people will ever make in their lives, at least 98% of them, and that we can help them guide or understand and make the best decision for their family. Now, to kick us off here, Jim, I guess I'm going to start off with a big question. I think it's important. The housing market is really struggling, and it's struggling because of, I describe it as two key things. One, the increase of home prices, and two, the elevated interest rates are causing major issues. Now, increased home prices is probably mostly due to low inventory, but I'd like to get your viewpoint on these two large obstacles and what you see coming down the pike for 2024.
Sure. So, excuse me. So as far as interest rates are concerned, you have to look at monetary policy. You have to look at the general economy. And when you have inflation, like we have had for the last 3 years specifically, even a little before that, the best way to slow down the economy from a Fed perspective is to raise interest rates. And why in the world, and by the way, this is not a political statement, this is an economic statement. Why in the world the leaders of our economic system in our country didn't recognize and didn't communicate to the powers that be that when you flood the economy with money, what happens is and this, by the way, we're just coming off of COVID on top of that, but you just print money and that goes into the system. It can't help but have the result of inflation. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if somebody in business didn't understand that, or somebody in government didn't, shame on them, because that's what happens. It's happened before, history repeats itself, it's going to happen again when it happens. So we have this economic situation of inflation. The best way to slow down inflation is raise interest rates. When you raise interest rates, that economy slows. And as a result of that, then hopefully it gets down under control. And so the interest rates run up March of 2021, and they haven't come down. You know, I say that they've come down a little bit, a couple of times, but they've stayed rather constant. So interest rate rising is a result of just economic conditions that our country is in. All right, home prices, as you just mentioned, Blair, it's supply and demand. You know, we come off of a recession where we had a glut of homes on the market. All of those homes ultimately got absorbed by the market, whether they were home buyers like you and me buying homes, or it was investors like you and me investing in real estate. And then as time goes on, this pent-up demand of post-recession happens. We have the millennials, or the Generation Z coming on, and millennials coming on, largest home buying segment ever, even bigger than baby boomers, I understand it. And so you have this demand of housing, and then, you know, you come off of this recession where people weren't, or builders weren't building, developers weren't developing. And from the time a developer buys a parcel of land till the first home buyer moves in is a 2-year period of time. Banks were not lending for X number of years after the recession. So you had this perfect storm. You had lending policies that tightened up significantly, both on the commercial development side as well as the home buyer side. Then you had the builders not building and developers not developing first, you know, developing the land, then the builders aren't building. Therefore, we couldn't keep up with the demand of the people, the population move, people moving out of mom and dad's basement or third bedroom or whatever. They want a house, they want to get out of mom and dad's house. So they had that issue. And so we've had this glut, and then boom, interest rates. Somebody asked me last week, because I've wrote a book last year, Success Through a Recession. And it's basically our company has lived through 7 recessions. Somebody asked me last week, well, are we in a recession? And I said, the real estate business is. The government may not admit that the country's in a recession, but the real estate business is definitely in a recession, and we have been since March of 2021. So there's my answer, long answer, more detail than you probably wanted.
Oh, I know. It's a great answer, because I totally agree. Why is our country not admitting that we're in a recession? I don't know if it's political or if it's what are the answers, but we've been in a recession because we had two quarters of last year negative GDP, and actually had a third one equal. So 3 quarters, that's normally a big indicator, but we're not admitting it. We're not wanting to. We had 25,000 companies giving WHR reports in January of this year. So that means major layoffs are going to take place between February through April, May. And we don't want to recognize that. BLS jobs reports are inflated, and then they're deflated, but they're deflated outside the normal period. So therefore, nobody makes an indication of that issue, that challenge. So what would you say to your realtors or any of our listeners about elevated interest rates and the learning, what this generation, I guess, the Gen X?
Tommy, can you hear me?
Well, if we've lost him, I'll follow up with the end of that question as far as inflated rates. And Jim, you and I have been around long enough, and I have an experience in real estate that I've been in, real estate since I was in junior high, just like you. And if you do the math, I think I'm 48, so somewhere in that ballpark. But when we see these rates that we're seeing, 6.5% has been the traditional rate for the home buyers since I've been in the business, when rates were 14 and 15 and 16%. A matter of fact, I closed on one house that I sold in San Antonio, Texas at 19%, with the veteran paying 1 point to get that 19%. So As far as the interest rates, I may not be quite the same soothsayer as everybody else that's causing the problem, but the reality is that I think the mental approach to having low rates for so long is the thing that is the biggest wet blanket on having an average interest rate of 6.5%, which is what it's averaged for the last 45 years. So what do you think about the mentality of those people that you're hands-on, you're seeing the people firsthand, the people that work with you, they come back and talk about those folks. What is that mental approach that is being used to make housing move as far as in today's marketplace?
So first, I have misspoke. I misspoke a minute ago. Interest rates went up, I think, March of 2022. I think I said 2021. Sorry about that. So I wanted to correct that first. Second of all,
thank you.
What we left out of the rise in home prices and the demand a minute ago was the fact that you have this vast population of people that purchased homes, Tom, during that 2.5% and 3% interest rate period of time. And I got to tell you, I talked to a lot of people that say, why would I move if I have a 2.5% or 3% interest and I'm going to 6.5% or 7% today? I'm not going to move. And so you have that, family that, their kids are moved off to college or they got married or whatever, and they've got this big house. Well, normally that person would go move down. They'd move to a smaller house. Or that couple that has 3 kids in a 3-bedroom house, and he got a promotion, he got a raise or whatever, or she, and she decided, okay, well, normally you'd see them buying a bigger house. So all their kids have a separate bedroom. We're fortunate here in the United States of America where that happens. Other countries around the world don't have that happen, but we are.
Really, they don't have that luxury, do they?
Yeah. And so in that case, we're going to stay in our little 3-bedroom house compared to buying a 4-bedroom. That's just the way the market is. And so there's that resale market. A minute ago, I talked about builders building. Now I'm talking about the resale. Why would I give up a 2.5%, 3% interest for a 6.5%, 7%? That's the mentality of people. All right. So back to your question. Is interest rates at 6, 6.5%, 7% inflated? Well, of course, it's not inflated if that's what it is. Is it fair and reasonable to have a 6 to 7% mortgage? Tom, based on your experience, you've been in a long time. I've been in a long time. I sold one at a house at 17.5%, and the seller paid 13 points. I remember it well.
Yeah.
Plus my fee. Plus the buyer broker fee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was the market at the time, and they wanted to sell and they wanted to buy, and that's what happened. And ultimately they either sold the house or refinanced, whatever they did. So is 6 to 7%, back to your original question, is 6 to 7% a reasonable interest rate? My response to that is, based on 52 years actively listing and selling real estate, yes, it's a reasonable interest rate. Was 2.5% to 3% a reasonable interest rate? The answer is no. That was ridiculous, ridiculously low. Lenders weren't making or couldn't make money at loaning their money out that way. And by the way, we people that are living on Social Security and have investment income and whatever, we couldn't live on the rate that the banks were giving us on our CDs and money markets and all that. So somewhere in that 6 to 8% range, Tom, in my opinion, again, experience, is a reasonable rate. Now, what is it going to take? You didn't ask this question, but I'll kind of get ahead of you. What is it going to take for that 2 to 3% interest homeowner to decide to sell and make a move? I'll give you my opinion, 5%, 5.5%. When rates get below 6 and we start seeing that 5.5% rate, I believe that homeowner who was going to move down normally and didn't, they're going to sell their house and move down. They're going to buy their retirement home. the young family that is paying that 3% interest rate and needs a bigger house, wants a bigger house, wants to move locations. That's when they're a massive, I say massive, an increase of homes will come on the market at that time. So you didn't ask that question, but I thought I'd get ahead of it.
Well, that was the direction I was headed. So I really appreciate that. That's good insight, I think, for, our listeners here to be able to kind of have a target situation. And with, the inflation right now having been around the 3% level, I know they want to, as far as the Fed is concerned, but the 3% level, I think there's enough push that we'll see investors see competition bring it down to that 5.5, 5.75, sub 6 level, which would be interesting to see again, which would be nice.
Jim, before my wonderful technology here cut me off, I apologize. Wanted to ask you, what would you tell your realtors today with that interest rate? You've got clients out there, they're wanting to look for homes. Myself, I should move out of my home, like you said. The family's moved off. We should right size maybe, but we're not. What would you tell your realtors in working with clients about interest rate? You gave your personal example and opinion, but what would you be telling them to share with their clients about understanding, hey, this is a good interest rate, or at least if there's a need in the market, you can make this move. It may cost you.
Well, reality, it doesn't matter what the money market situation is, you still have human behavior. Mm-hmm. Human behavior is that people are going to get married. They need a home. People are going to have babies. They need a bigger home, or they need a home. People are going to get promotions. They want a bigger home. People are going to want to relax and have a second home. There's an opportunity there. People are going to get divorced. I hate to say married and then divorced, but sometimes that happens. They need, by the way, that's 3 transactions for our clients. That's a sale sale and 2 purchases if you handle that correctly. And then you have estates. You have people moving down, and then you have estates. People are going to die. It's the way it is in life. Okay. And so if a realtor really focuses on the opportunity of people and really builds relationships with people and understands where they are in their life and stays in touch with them and is a service to them, and this is what a lot of people don't understand what realtors do. They stay in touch with their clients. They are a resource for their client. If they're moving into, by the way, I left out relocation, moving across the country or across the city. All of those things are why people move. Now, if you stay in touch, you're good citizens, you do the right thing, you take care of your client when they're not wanting to sell, then they run into somebody at church or wherever they run into them, they refer you to them. When you stay in touch with those people and they have a life-changing situation, they come back to you. And that's the way you build a career. Real estate, there's a difference. And Tom, if I were one of your instructors, this is what I'd be communicating. Real estate is not a job. It's a career. You invest today in something that you will get a return on sometime in the future. It may be a week, a month, 3 months, 6 months. It could be 25 years. That's how you build a career. It's a career. It's not a job. It's not something where you're going to get a check twice a month. It's not something that you are going to have immediate gratification. And that's part of the issue I have with new people coming into our industry. They're going to try it out. Mm-hmm. Very few people that try it out ultimately are successful in it because it's too easy to get out of it. It's too easy to get in it, too easy to get out of it.
Sure. And very good point. We had a conversation before we started on the show. Would you please share your quote of that experience with our listeners, please. I thought that was so insightful and very important to hear.
Well, I was sharing with Blair last Wednesday night. I had dinner with one of our top agents, what we call a centurion agent. Blair, you understand that theory. This is a top award that Century 21 gives its agents. She is a many year in a row centurion agent. And so I was having dinner with her and her husband last Wednesday night. And, you know, she looked at me and she said, Jim, what I tell these new agents is answer your phone. Answer your phone. You never know who's on the other end of that phone and is going to give you a piece of business or give you an opportunity or referral or whatever. Answer your phone. And then she went on to say, within the last week, she had 2 calls. She didn't know where they were coming from, except they said some other city in the country. 2 calls. She, you know, the normal person would say, oh, that's spam, I'm not going to answer it, right? When we get enough spam calls, well, let's agree to that. And so she answered those 2 calls and she got 2 referrals, 2 listing referrals. One of the parties said that she being the agent in the, I think, Virginia Beach, Virginia area, I think she said that she had called 7 other agents off the internet. Nobody answered their phone.
Wow.
But this one. She answered the phone. She got the information. She got the listing. Now, hello, how simple is that? Answer your phone. Answer your text messages. Answer your email. Communicate. And a lot of agents don't. And by the way, that's why they don't survive and succeed in real estate.
And why they try it and fail or try it and leave, as you say.
Yeah.
I find that it's a very common thing with lenders as well. We don't answer our phone. We don't get that call from that realtor or that client, and you've missed an opportunity. So communication is probably one of the biggest priorities, I think, in any side of the business is critical to be successful. I agree with that. Jim, do you have anything you'd like to share about what your company's doing uniquely and going in through 2024, leading into 2025? What do you see and how are you making those shifts? You've written a great book, and please share again the title of the book.
So I wrote a book year before last and published it in 2023, Success Through a Recession. It's out on Amazon. It's hardback, paperback, Audible. Available out there on Amazon. If you like it, go back and give a 5-star review. If you don't like it, don't say anything like your mama told you. If you can't say anything nice,
say anything nice.
And so it's basically the experience that I had. And I actually started writing this, Blair and Tom, back in 2009. I was on a trip and sitting on the back of a van and just started the outline and never finished it. And then when I saw rates started going up, I said, you know what, we're going to go into a real estate recession here. I think I'll write my book. And so it took me about 5 months to write it and then edit and all that stuff, finally published it. So anyway, what are we doing as a company? Number one, I believe you're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between. Now, look, how long is the death? Can you come out of the death and be revived? Yes, definitely. But that's my business. One of my business philosophies is you're either growing or dying. We have grown over the last 10 years primarily off of organic growth. And that means just hiring agents, training them, building their careers, and thus building our company. And yet we have been, as the book outlines, saving our money, putting it in the bank. We're a debt-free company. Very proud of that. And we've been putting money in the bank, putting it aside for a period where interest rates go up. And there's businesses that maybe aren't as excited about being in business anymore. We have the antitrust lawsuits that are going on in the industry right now. And so that's definitely been an impact. We've bought 4 companies in the last 5-6 months. We have 3 more that we're talking to right now. We've expanded into Oklahoma City. We purchased a company up there, 5 offices, Granbury, Glen Rose, Waco, and then a property management portfolio. We manage over 1,700 houses and condos and townhomes here in DFW. Wow. So we're growing all of those businesses. All of them are, again, title company. We're growing all of them. So growth is it, being positioned when the market turns like it has, to be able to come in and acquire and merge companies, good companies. Let me make that very clear. I don't, I probably look at 5 to 6 companies before I buy one or merge with one. And so we're doing that. And I've got, again, talking to 3. We'll see if they all work out or not, or if any of them work out. You never know until it happens. The other thing is communication, which we already talked about a little bit. But this antitrust lawsuit has a lot of realtors, lenders, everybody in the industry scared to death because it's different, And by the way, I've been through a lot of different markets. We have been through a lot of different markets. There was a big antitrust lawsuit here in Texas, along with other metropolitan areas back in the early 1980s. Most people don't know that because they haven't lived that long. They haven't been in our industry. But I have lived that long. And me and 2 other guys were brought on by the Board of Realtors Association, which was Greater Dallas at the time, now it's Metrotex, to settle and or manage that lawsuit. So I was in the thick of antitrust litigation, not personally being sued, but managing that suit for these 6 Association of Realtors and 4 companies, which we did successfully get through that. We will, as a company, successfully get through this. Whatever life brings us, whatever the government brings us, whatever the judicial branch brings us, here's what I know, Blair. People are going to buy and people are going to sell. If we're out there doing our job, they're going to buy and sell through us. If we're not doing our job, they won't. And we should be paid for our services, whatever is fair and equitable. Our core value number 1 of our company is honesty and integrity, to always do the right thing. And core value number 3 is give a world-class service. Last year, we've been surveying our clients over 30 years. Think about that. I used to lick stamps and stuff envelopes long before surveys were even a thought. But now we have an outside firm. We survey every single client that buys and sells through our company. For many years, we've had a 98% quality service rating.
Wow.
The last 3 years, we broke our own record. We've been at 99%. 99%, Tom. Think about that in these people you're going through, champions. 99% quality service rating, over 4,000 transactions a year with a 99% quality service rating. I'll put that against any brokerage company anywhere in the country. And when you give that kind of service to your client, and then you stay in touch with them after the closing, you will build a career in real estate. Boy, that was a long answer.
Well, it was well versed and well done. I can't imagine your company, your membership, your employees, your realtors not understanding and believing in that philosophy, and you're developing that. Now, I have to take the one step to the side and say, you're not doing this by yourself. You have some great partnerships, vendors. How do you look at vendors and partners in this business? And what are the critical things you look for when you're looking and determining if you're going to go into business with somebody to help your business grow?
So we have core businesses in our company, which would be, our title company, our insurance agency, Cardinal Financial, Blair, who you're affiliated with, our property management company. These are all what we call one team core businesses. They're not affiliated businesses, they're core. So they're either owned by us or we have a very, very positive working relationship. Then we have a vendor network. I would put that vendor network against any brokerage in the country. About 200, a little less than 200 vendors. How do you get to be a vendor network? Well, we have a person that manages that department for us. And how you do that is, number 1, you're realtor friendly. We're a real estate company at the core. So you got to be realtor friendly. That means we got a closing on Thursday and we need that roof on. We better get the roof on. We got a foundation problem, closing on Thursday. We better get that foundation right. Whatever the issue is, we need vendors that are realtor friendly. They understand deadlines. They understand closings for our clients. They have to be competitive. Some may be the lowest price. Some may not be the lowest price. But the fact is they've got to be competitive and they've got to give quality service or we will kick them out of our program. Bottom line is, and by the way, we have very few that we kick out because of the vetting we do on the front end. So, you know, you've got to be realtor friendly. You've got to be competitive. You've got to be there when you say you'll be there. You got to communicate to the client, to our agent, everybody concerned. Again, that vendor program has been in existence for over 20 years and it works well. And we're real proud of our vendors and happy for them. We had a awards function a couple of weeks ago. We had a vendor fair before the awards function, you know, with 500 plus people there, plus our vendors, and they all had booths and they had all kinds of stuff going on, like any convention, you might say, mini convention, except for our company. So those are the kind of things our job is to help that vendor build their business. Their job is to help Judge Fight, Century 21 Judge Fight Company build our business.
Amen. Very good. Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Tom, do you have anything that you want to talk about?
No, I would just relate to Jim. One of the first people I remember so much when I moved to I practiced down in San Antonio for 17 years as a broker owner down there. And when I moved up here to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, one of the first people I met was a Jim Fight agent. And in the most awkward and weird way possible, I was over in Arlington, my kind of old stomping ground when I was in high school. I'm from Fort Worth Pascal guy. And I was driving through this intersection. A guy ran a red light and slammed my car and totaled it, slammed it from the driver's side. And of course, I did not know what was going on. I kept hitting the brake, and I was hitting the accelerator, that type of thing. My head had hit against the window and that type of deal. And when I finally everything slowed down and rolled up and hit a telephone post at that point. And yeah, telephones used to go through wires, by the way. But when I hit that, you know, I was really out of it. And the first person that came, I thought I'd maybe passed away, and it was an angel. It was one of the prettiest agents from Jim Fight I'd ever met in my entire life, or prettiest people I've ever met. And she knocked on my window, and I rolled it down and said, "What's going on?" And she said, "You had an accident." And I said, "Really?" and the next thing I know is she's helping me out of the car. She took her time, everything. And of course, being in real estate at that time, I said, "Could I have your card?" And she gave me her card, and I was like, I got to find out who these people are. They're great folks. And that just is kind of, again, a reflection, I think, of the people you hire, is that they're first on the scene, first to help me out of the car, first to help make sure that by the time the ambulance gets there, I'm okay. She stayed all the way through.
Wow. What a great story. I wish I knew who that person was. I'd call her this afternoon.
I know. And that was about 28 years ago right now. So I've lost that card, but I kept it for years and years and years.
Well, Tom, we still list and sell real estate. So when you're ready to buy or sell, let us know. Okay.
You got it. You got it.
And by the way, we have a lot of people just like her in our company that would be there for you. And you know, we have a Judge Fight Charitable Foundation that we founded in 2017. And just take another second here. And our objective with our charitable foundation, our purpose, is to help people in an emergency need. You know, there are a lot of organizations, great organizations, nonprofits out there that help people, you know, through tsunamis and all these earthquakes we're having and all that stuff. But here's what we have discovered through the years is people, when they have a house burned down or they have a child that's ill or they can't cover their deductibles on whatever, they don't have enough money. We can turn a check to a family, Tom, like you had that accident. If you needed a check in 24 to 48 hours, we can turn a check to someone in need. And we give tens of hundreds of $1,000s away each year to people in need. So thanks for that story. I'm really glad she wasn't the one to hit you, because I thought I might be getting set up for a lawsuit here that I didn't want to have to defend. So thank you for not communicating. You bet. She was the one to hit you.
Well, Jim, I want to thank you for your time today and sharing about not only what the real estate market's looking like, but what Judge Fite is doing to prepare, serve their clientele. And as you say, your employees are your career, and making this a career effort, not a professional, not just a part-time. And I think that's one of the key questions a lot of buyers and sellers ask is this a full-time job for you or a part-time? For those listening, please find us at welcomehomeradio.net, share, like us. We enjoy our real estate lending and learning education time together. If you have a topic you'd like to cover, please let us know. And thank you again for your day. Tom, thank you. And Jim, appreciate your time today.
Thank you all.
God bless.
Welcome Home Radio production provided by Lunatic Digital. Check the listing of this podcast for the links to our sponsors. And don't forget to like, share, and follow us on social media. Visit welcomehomeradio.net for more information. This was a Lunatic Digital production. Visit lunaticdigital.com for all your digital needs.